Welcome in to episode 17 of our Let's Play Humankind series featuring the Commons Quarter, lovingly titled Commonly Uncommon, due to the fact that Commons Quarters probably don't get built very much in this game because garrisons are substantially better. However, we're having a very successful game using the Commons Quarter strategy. How much of that is actually due to Commons Quarters, I am not entirely sure. I will leave that for you to determine. We're sitting on turn 89. It is my hope that we may be able to move up out of the medieval era and into the early modern today. We will see how far we get. If you need to catch up on any of the action, in the description below is a link to episode 1 of this series. You can catch up on all of the action leading up to this moment. We're playing as the Tenno in the medieval era. Let's jump into the action, see how far we can progress our empire. Here we are. Of course, in our capital city of Ashur. Ashur is cranking through population. We are trying to build in as many bateys as possible. We may need to start one-turning bateys. If we look at how many bateys we have left to build, it looks like we have 2 left in this city, and this is the city I think that needs the most of them. They're taking several turns to build, so I think we'll build this one in. We really should start one-turning them, to be honest. There's already turns in this one. I feel like we should start one-turning them. All right. I've convinced myself already. I'm gonna start with a one turn on these. Let's see. We're gonna put it. This is our tumulus. We want to go next to tumulus. This is a nice like farmers or market slot to get some of the exploits there. So I think let's go tumulus adjacent on. Let's say this side. Let's put a tumulus adjacent. Let's put a batey there. We'll switch it in. We'll get our one turn rolling. Let's run through and just check our other cities as well, just to see how far along we are. How many are needed? So we're like this one's gonna finish. We might as well just put our next one down because we could actually get the turn into it. Okay, it's just one more in this city, so that's a super easy choice. Where are we gonna put it? This would be tumulus adjacent, which is probably fine. Why can't I build here? I'd love to build. Oh, it's because... Oh, that's in a different territory. That's why. This would be, again, a nice spot to grab some exploits, so I don't really want to put... I don't want to put my batey there. This would be a nice market quarter spot, but perhaps we're not market quartering there. Although, I mean, this is a nice, like, it's just empty space for, like, market quarter adjacency here. But, again, how many of those are we really going to put in? I don't know. Let's just go. We'll just go with the adjacency here. We'll put it there. So that'll get that city off and running. That's all their bateys there. Gothiscansa we know already has all theirs in, and we're gonna end on Gothiscansa because we actually need to put our wonder in. Bahama, I believe, has all of theirs in. They're about to put their last one in the territory we just attached. So Bahama is set. Gothiscansa is set. Nineveh we just set. Ashur is the one we've got to one turn some stuff on. Habana is putting theirs in, and they'd have to make another attachment. They already have 4, so we probably will sit on 4 for Habana. Their stability is... Although bateys help our stability technically, so making an attachment and throwing another batey in, we'll debate that on the next turn. And our brand new city, obviously, is fine. Although we are putting a market quarter in before the batey. Is that what we want to do? Where are we putting that market quarter in? That's a mark. We're putting a market quarter in here, I believe. And we're building that before our next batey, which I'm going to go ahead and say let's not. Let's get the batey in really quickly, and then we'll see what's going on there. Because we should be able to make another claim, right? Because they're going to claim this next turn, and we should be able to put yet another batey in as well. So, okay, all of our cities are ready. That takes us back to, if you remember, last episode, we had not chosen a spot for Angkor Wat. We had decided, however, that we should probably put it back in our capital. We're over pop cap in a lot of our opening cities that we started with. The big news is we still have 80 food in Gothiscansa, despite the fact that we're over pop cap, right? That is because we have the lovely Victoria Falls here, which is causing us to have -10 population consumption on city. So food is always going to be easier here when we have high population. In our capital, however, as I noticed, is we are very low on food and is actually slowing our growth down. So Angkor Wat in our capital is probably the best bet. We also have a lot of faith being generated out of our capital, and the more faith we're generating, the better Angkor Wat is. So it just makes sense in our capital. The other thing to note about Angkor Wat is it still offers full resource exploitation. If we click on Angkor Wat, we actually don't want to build it in that city, so we're gonna go back. We'll go back to Gotha-Skansta. We'll click on it from there. It is a full exploit. If you see right here, you can see it if you zoom in a little bit, right? It actually exploits all the tiles around it still. Not all wonders do this anymore. They used to. And it used to tell you which resources they would exploit. Many wonders exploit the tile that they are on, but very few of them nowadays actually exploit tiles around them. So we actually have a really nice opportunity to get a large exploit in with Angkor Wat. The other nice thing about it is full free place. So we can put it anywhere and grab as much as we can to try to snag the best exploits possible, right? So something on river would get us like some nice bonuses. That's why something over here is actually quite appealing. We've got 20 food plus the 9 industry that we're getting. There's 6 science actually available over here. Over here we get a little more food and a little more industry. Because again, you're going to end up with the bonuses from exploiting those river tiles. Part of me says like even here maybe, like this is a nice spot. We go like, that's 27 food, 11 production, 2 gold, 40 stability, 10 faith, and 2 plus the 2 influence. That's just on exploit, right? That doesn't count the faith from the actual Angkor Wat, which is that doesn't count the food per faith, right? The food per faith is going to be much higher than that. This is just food on the exploit itself. Yeah, I feel like this is the spot right here. It gets us 2 exploits on river. It gets us some nice exploits down here into the forest. These 2 tiles are not great. We could put districts on those, right? There's probably other like really nice spots. Like this is a really nice spot from a production standpoint. If we wanted to stick it in over here, that would be a 1917. But this gets us a lot more food. So let's put it right here. We'll just do it. We'll stick it there. There was a nice exploit here with like a lot of river. We could have definitely gone in that direction as well. Wouldn't have been opposed to that. But this gets like a pretty far. We could put like the other thing we haven't done is we haven't put a single hamlet in, right? We haven't put a single hamlet in. So we'll get Gotha-Skansta working on Angkor Wat because we want to be able to claim. We want to be able to claim another wonder in the next era, and there's actually wonders available still to us right now. So I think that will do it to set us up to go into the next turn. We're rapidly approaching the end of the era from a science standpoint, where we're going to be capped on science, and that's what's kind of forcing me into this move up, where we're going to just start one-turning these bateys in these cities, make sure we get them all in, and then we'll be prepping for our move up. So let's maneuver our way to the end of the medieval era. Oh, I also noticed something at the end of last episode that I think I forgot to comment on, but a war has broken out on the other continent. Another war. There's the Steet Star, so that's nice. Icarus has moved from the Huns to the Aztecs. So Icarus clearly choosing a path of potential war. Huns into Aztecs, and Icarus is actually at war currently. I believe Gaiden and Icarus declared war on each other this last turn. We also have Burley and Plosif are back at war with each other again. And so it looks like, interestingly enough, Plosif has chosen to besiege a city where they are far outnumbered, but they have units on the outcourt. I wonder what the plan is. He's obviously trying to take away cities here, and we can now officially see, as our ally is kind of showing us here, Burley's land on the New World. And so we kind of knew that was happening, because we knew Burley had resources that we were going to be trading for that he did not have access to on our continent. Good news for Burley that he's on the New World, because he is getting pressured relentlessly by Plosif on our continent. Still no claims being made in some of these lands. Clearly the AI values it about as much as I did and said, nah, you can have it. And then again, there are wars being raged here as well. Icarus, I don't know if he's lost some of this in wars or what, but there's been wars declared over here as well. We also know that Nox is on the New World as well. Nox has units roaming the New World, and so there's a crossing point somewhere in here as well. And so there's lots of stuff going on. Lots of things happening. Let's check out some of these. Monumental contractors, absolutely. We'll make any treaties that work best to further our relationships are always good. I feel like we could push
makes my day.
push like alliance here.
I have a proposition for you.
Grab another alliance. We have really good relationships with a lot of people. And after that, I think we'll just grab...
I think that this calls for a celebration.
I feel like we just keep pushing cultural exchange.
I have a proposition for you.
Absolutely max out our influence generation. And if we need anything, we can always trade more. So that's great.
This bodes very well.
Okay, so let's go ahead and run, just because we're here, let's run through.
Let us speak honestly with each other.
Icarus is at war with Gaiden. We have treaties to be able to sign and trade. Well, not trade, but let's just continue to propose deals.
We would all benefit from growing closer.
There are many crises that are worth getting rid of there. No treaties available here. We just signed those.
A pleasure to see you again.
The salt tea and gemstones would be nice. However, my thought is currently, if we purchase these right now, the trade routes are probably going to get broken because there's a war going on. Anywhere where our trade is going to come through has to come through Plosif's land, and they're at war. So I honestly don't think that these are worth grabbing currently. So we'll hold off on that as we go through that piece. I just don't think that that's worth it, right, for that. So we've got trade everything. We go like Diplo cooperation or something of that nature.
All benefit from
that's going to get refused. Burley has soured towards us, essentially.
If I cannot teach you
wisdom, that has 5 turns, so we'll leave it.
Teach you regret.
And then we don't have anything we can trade for here necessarily, at least not that we're using yet.
We would all benefit.
A lot of people refuse the intelligence coalition when you first propose it, which again, like I've told you, not opposed to. It generates grievances. That allows us to pick up more with our envoys, hopefully, and also gives us the potential for additional war support on the off chance that war should potentially break out. Okay, check out our units. This guy's busy exploring. All right, this guy is looking to put things down. Oh, you know what I forgot? We are currently on minus our city cap. We need to go into our civics and we need to do our city cap thing. But here's what I noticed. Here is what I noticed. I actually need to probably establish this and then unestablish it and then go back the other way. There are a couple of civics that are really helpful for us. This one could be helpful. This one is, I would choose minus 20% on emblematic district industry cost. That would make our emblematics really cheap, depending on choices we make moving forward. You have to have 3 market quarters and 3 common quarters in a single city. I don't think I have that in any city, so we don't need to do this yet. But eventually, we're going to want to switch to Autotarch, at least for a little while, just to unlock that. It also will take us over to here, where we can unlock minus 20% on unit buyout cost eventually. We also want to go this direction as well. And again, you have to have 3 market quarters and 3 commons quarters in a city. But that gets us to this, which is kind of one of the final civics to really boost our commons quarter. So +1 science, +1 money on commons quarter. It's not huge, and it's honestly kind of meh, to be honest. We're going to have enough commons quarters that's probably worth something. But by the time in the game when we get to that, I feel like +1 money and science on a commons quarter, it's not like a huge difference maker. I still want to try to go for it. So we'll probably be trying to push for that on this side of things as well. That requires that we enact small council. So we're going to start going that direction first. The other thing that we would possibly want to look at is right here. Either of these get you +5 stability on commons quarter, which would basically put us in like a permanent state of settled. We would have no stability problems whatsoever. The issue I have with this particular civic is you have to have your empire stability at unstable. At no time in the game have I ever really gotten close to this, and I would basically have to sabotage my own empire to get my empire stability all the way down to unstable. Would require like astronomical effort on my part to sabotage myself. I don't like this as a requirement. And I especially don't like it as a requirement to get to some of these other pretty powerful civics, because it just never happens to me. I never end up with my full empire as unstable. That just seems like putting yourself in that position just to unlock, to get access to these things, just doesn't seem quite worth it. So I do think there are several civics we want to think about, though. And I'm going to start by enacting a small council here.
Most problems eventually yield.
We also have the ability to get plus 10 food per number of attached territories on all cities. And honestly, I think that that's probably relatively important for us right now. We're kind of struggling on food, and this would keep our growth moving. So it costs a lot, but I think I'm going to do this as well. It's going to push us back out of our money that we've been gaining, which is kind of frustrating. So we're basically resetting this particular axis, and then we can choose whether we want to go towards production or go towards money at that point. But I do want that, and we're never going to use money to attach and claim territories. We're just not making enough of it, and we're making a ton of influence. So I'm going to go communal land as well.
Why should individual
and
wealth
the
and
other
political
one that I've been
connections
debating
determine the status
is
of something
colonization.
as timeless as the land?
When we first looked at colonization, we decided it was not worth it 100% because we were only on one continent. Now, for cities founded on a foreign continent, we can get plus 10 money and plus 10 industry. Now, this is not a lot, I will admit. 10 money and 10 industry on a city at this point in the game, it's not a ton. Plus 25 stability is quite nice, to be honest. And it pushes us back into this plus 10% food. So essentially, if you do this, you push yourself away from your food bonus on the axes. So you cost yourself food in multiple ways, right? If you go over here, you're going to gain stability, and you're going to be at that 10% food gain still. So your food and stability on this side of things, if you go naturalized colonies. On this side of things, you're going to get the 10 money and the 10 industry, which is valuable turn over turn, but you're costing yourself effectively 10% food, and you're losing 25 potential stability. Again, the stability is probably not like a big deal for us. But I do like staying on this 10% food, and this would actually cause substantial problems, I believe, in some of our other cities that are over pop cap. If we lose this 10% food on all of our cities. My inclination is maybe to go on this side of things eventually. I don't think we need stability right now, and going from 5 to 10 food, I think that's a big number. We'll debate going to this at some point. We'll save for now because we are going to move up shortly, and so we're going to want to have an excess of influence to claim wonders and do a couple different things. So I don't want to overdo that piece of it. But that's just something I've been thinking
this
about.
time you are merely a bystander to someone else's glory.
Oh, wait. Go back. We'll grab that on the next turn. Nice. Okay, this guy. Have we gotten this guy far enough in? Some part of me says like we're about to get 3-masted ship, and once we have 3-masted ship, then I could just set these guys to go, and if they cross the ocean, then they cross the ocean. So we're about to have to not deal with that anymore. Okay, we can also put a claim down here, and I think we just want to be claiming. Now, claims are going to get really expensive. So I think we're looking at 661. That's not bad. We want to get our claims in so we can switch our civic to decrease our attachment costs, because our attachment costs are quite large now. So I think that's probably a good idea to do that. 1811 versus 1910. So we're basically looking at how many river tiles are we getting on either of these. Either of these is perfectly acceptable. So, or a maker's quarter, actually. Let's go here. We'll go here because that gives us like a maker's, and then we can go out this way as well. We put our commons quarter out here. It's not a city tile, so it's not all that. This army is just kind of hanging out watching Yalalegro. They have 8 turns left, so we want to keep an eye on this because I would like to run the attack on this and get we want to get this done at some point. So early in the next era, we're going to run that attack, I feel like. These guys are looking for a city claim spot, so we'll keep them moving down river. I believe we were going to claim this territory if possible. So let's go ahead and just expose this whole territory. Get it unlocked so we can see what our best option is, and then we'll check that out on the next turn. Okay. All of the bateys are in here. We're sitting at 4 surplus. We could add another attachment that costs 1,400. And see, that's what I'm talking about. Now that some of our cities are in that 4 territory, 5 territory range, attachments become brutally expensive if you don't have that reduction, right? There's a civic where you could switch it to reduce from 50%. Right now, we have it on a reduction of 50% for claiming territories, but you can get it to 20% for attachments reduction. And that's what we want to start using. So I don't actually think it's worth it to spend all of the rest of our influence just to get 1 additional batey in here. I think we're probably fine. So what we'll do in Habana is take a quick look at our available infrastructures. And if there's nothing that's like really sticking out to us, which there really isn't here, although 23 science is pretty nice, and we could get some extra stability if we needed to. I think what we'll do is just put these turns into Angkor Wat. We also have a lot of holy sites we could be putting into, so we need to start thinking about where we put those holy sites in. I think the holy sites will be very dictated. We'll put those in the cities that need them based on stability, right? You get that 20, I believe, 20 stability for putting a holy site in, which is a large number. So we'll want to take advantage of that when we're choosing the locations for our last set of holy sites, which I think we have 4 to place, potentially. Bahama has also put in all of their bateys, and they don't actually have any attachments to make right now either. So, again, we're going here, we're looking at these. Again, there's some value here, and we'll probably put some of those in when we get the opportunity to. At 28 gold, actually, for the Great Fish Market is really nice, because our gold is pretty low right now. But let's just go ahead and get Angkor Wat done. We'll put as many cities on it as we can. We're also choosing our final tech. So 2 turns from now, we will be maxed on that. And then we want to jump back through our cities and make sure that everybody is 1-turning that we need to 1-turn. So this batey, we need to go ahead and put this one in, which is our last one. So we're actually pretty much ready to make that move up, right? We're pretty close to that. This is a market quarter site for sure, right? So we'll go Tumulus adjacent, but up north for this particular batey. And we want to slip that one in. There we go. And we'll get that 1 turn. So then all of our bateys have production to them, so they all will stay in our queue once this is done. And so let's double check the rest of our cities. That batey has turns in it. Jump through all of our territories. We're not building any more bateys here. Neither can we make any more attachments. I mean, technically we could, but this was going to go to Nineveh. F54 surplus. Gotha Skansta. Well, but Gotha Skansta has a lot of territories it has to take. I'm not going to make that attachment right now. I feel like that would be a mistake eventually on our part. Habana has got all theirs in. We're not going to make any more attachments there. Bahama has got all theirs, so we're good there. And Bayuguana, we are going to make 1 further attachment. Oh, and we actually can. We can do this right now, so it's a good thing we checked. So yeah, we're going to attack. Hopefully not. We're going to attach Missum in right away. That allows us to go batey. And where do we batey? Yeah, that allows us to put like a farmer's quarter here. And then maybe we put like a commons. I don't need more than 1 commons in a city, I feel like generally speaking. So yeah, that's a nice batey spot. We'll do that. Put the batey there, then we can slip like maybe a couple of farmers' quarters off here really nicely. There's a lot of this was just really nice land, right? Let's switch that in. That way, as soon as our science is done, we're ready for our move up, I believe. Let's check stars really quick just to see kind of where we're at star-wise. We've got all of our agrarian stars. We could go try to grab a military star. We need 10 kills for a military star. So we would actually want to run the attack on Yala Allegro probably for that. We're not going to get one of these. We're probably not going to get this next Estate star, so I'm not really worried about that. We have tons of... We have 1, 2, 3, 4... 3 stars. A 5th would be overkill, to be honest. We're not going to get the Estate star because we're not growing quite fast enough to grab that. We're close. We could grab this militarist star if we so wanted to, because there are 10 units to fight. Let's take a quick look. Pompelo, we know, has 3 units floating around, and then they have another 4 population. That's only 7, and we need 10. We need 10 kills to get this thing done. There are a ton of units in Yala Allegro that we could come down and run an attack on. And these are archers, archers and chariots would fall almost instantaneously. They do have a dangerous set of 5 crossbowmen, which we would have to deal with. And when you run this attack, the battle lines will determine whether I can get access to those crossbowmen with all of my cavalry or not. If we could, and we get the attack off on them, then we could pretty easily sweep this fight. These are also from Yala Allegro. Crossbowmen and pikemen, and so this army would actually be quite potent against us because, again, we're cavalry heavy, and so that's kind of problematic. So we have a lot of cities over here that are like decline oriented. We're very close to that. So now I'm debating, like, do we run this attack? It's gonna be a massive fight if we run this, right? Our units are not healed until next turn, so we'll wait 1 more turn. We'll wait 1 more turn and we'll make that decision. Growth in Nineveh, growth in Gotha Skansta. They're bringing their units down, so it's almost setting up like we should almost attack them. They're like sitting in the fog over there. We do have trade problems because of the wars that are being declared, which is kind of unfortunate.
Wonderful
Cultural
to see
Entente. I never know about this. Cultural entente sounds very strange. Signing empires accept cultural coexistence. These empires will no longer generate oppressing by people grievances with each other. Additionally, territories under the other empire's cultural influence will gain 20 food per territory and 20 industry per territory. So here's my problem, all right? Right now, Sphere of Influence states that I have 0 territories under the influence of Nox, and Nox has 0 territories under the influence of me. So neither of us gain anything from doing this. It's 20 food, 20 production is huge per territory if they're under the influence, but neither of us have that, right? If we look at the influence, like we're holding strong on our own places, but we're not really grabbing anything, especially not in Nox. Well, we got some in Nox's land. We're about to have a couple, but again, that benefits Nox. It does not benefit me, and Nox is never going to have any influence over me. I'm very confused about that particular agreement being at all beneficial to the person who has the higher cultural value, right? You no longer generate oppressing my people grievances, which is basically bad for you because you want the grievances. You want grievances to pop for diplomatic purposes. You want grievances to pop to maintain high war support. And its territories under the other empire's influence gain plus 20 food and plus 20 industry. So as the person with higher cultural influence, there is 0 reason for me to sign this. If you feel differently, or if I'm misinterpreting this particular treaty under the embassy agreements, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. But I honestly have no inclination ever to sign this unless I have horrible cultural influence and all of my territories would get this plus 20 food, plus 20 industry. But as the person who's got the, like, there's no advantage for both players in this particular situation, in my opinion. So we're gonna refuse that because I just don't see.
But
I don't
no
see
deal
the point,
is better
right?
than a bad
If
deal.
that causes wars, like I guess that would be like the one reason, right? But all right, I'm gonna set this guy on auto explore because I'm just tired of doing those guys, you know. We're gonna. Oh, I don't probably need. We'll just. Oh wait, wasn't there Ooh, there's something over there. You do have to think about grabbing curiosity still, which I'm doing a pretty poor job of. Okay, our next claim is this long one. Probably want to be on river somewhere. This is pretty awful looking river. This river might be nicer looking. Gives us more stuff to go to. Let's just pop in, like maybe right here is just going to be where we want to go. Do we want to put this claim in right away, or do we hold on claims for a moment just so we have enough to claim a wonder? I'm going to hold for a second. We'll wait to make that claim. This guy's going to grab this because we do want curiosities. I'm really hoping it's a boat, to be honest. Hey! A boat! It's exactly what we've always wanted, and we can sail him right over already. Oh, we can't quite get into the shallow ground, but he should be fine. Right? How about Aegean? And there is some beautiful land for Burley. Kawa Aegean being claimed for Burley. That's a lovely wonder. Plus 2 industry per worker and plus 1 money per worker. You could make some really nice production gains in a city with that. And it's also just stunningly gorgeous. It's still in the fog and it still looks gorgeous. So there you go. I am going to also put this guy on auto explore. Let him do his thing. Is that a... Oh, yeah, that's Bongo Bongo range, right? We would love to have Bongo Bongo range. Unfortunate. Unfortunate. If this would have been in our original empire, we could have had some really spicy commons quarters. Okay, so here comes the turn, because we are... Well, this turn or next, right? We could do next turn, because we still have to research this. Although we don't have to. We could move up. We could move up right now. Because we don't have to get the research done. We might as well, though. But we've got all our 1 turns in, so we actually could potentially move up. But again, we've got turns left on Angkor Wat. Doesn't really make sense to move up. We'll just let it kind of sit for a second here. We could run this attack. This unit is going to reinforce in to that attack. Now, actually, this army would be the one we want to attack this particular space. Let's bring our armies down. I mean, I feel like we're going to do this anyway, so we might as well get the star. Let's bring these guys down. Let's see how close we can get these guys into the fight as well. There should be a unit right here. Yeah. Now, if we could probably initiate this fight on this turn. Oh, no, it is going to pull in some of their units, but not the crossbowmen, which is actually pretty important. Let's run this fight. Did it bring these guys in? Yeah, I think it did. Oh, yeah, they're in our area. Oh, all 3 of our armies against some of theirs, but not all of theirs. But they'll be able to bring in reinforcements. I wonder if we could instant resolve this. That would be slick if we could instant resolve this. Oh, we don't lose anybody on an instant resolve. That feels really nice, and it's a huge time saver on my part. All right, we don't get the crossbowman, but we get plenty of the kills that we need. I'm just going to instant resolve that. Beauty. There's our military star. That was a bunch of kills. Oh, let's can I look at that battle again? Crap, I closed it out. I closed it out, now I want to see it. I don't know how many kills we got there, but it was a lot. Y'all Allegro is now very close to going into decline. What we're going to have to do is we need to attack Pompelo and Y'all Allegro very early in the next era. So that's definitely what we'll be thinking about doing. This guy is looking for a spot, right? We'll just keep him exploring for a second because I don't want to spend influence right now. Just have him like pop around here.
Right.
You uncover this last little area. Oop, no, wait. Ah!
Over there.
Come back! I need you later. Yeah, we're going to claim this. This is going to be our city. We're going to plop a city down like right in here. And then make claims down, right, to get access to Salar de Uyuni. And then we'll make the claims down the coast here. That'll probably be our last city, like coastal city over here. And then we'll see if we want a couple more in this area, depending on what we see. But this has got, what I like here is 1, 2, 3 unknown strategics. And when we're trying to end a game of Humankind, the unknown strategics become very, very important when you get to the end if you want to do like a space race ending and stuff like that. So we really want to pay attention to snagging as many of these unknown strategics as possible. Also, incense will get us some money. We've been struggling with money ever since we started, basically, just because of how we're playing. So all of those things will potentially be good for us. Okay. So I think we'll hold on that guy. Our last city that needs to do something is Nineveh. And Nineveh is... what are we at? Surplus 9? So we could make an attachment and throw one more bate down. We could do that. It is very tempting to do that. We know Nineveh is going to take this territory. This territory's got a ton of people in it. We would have food problems probably if we brought that one in, to be honest. We know they're going to take this one. Just grab this really quick. Throw a bate down. What's the cost? It's 1,400 to grab. It's just not worth it. I'm not going to spend that right now until we get our claims in on the New World and until we flip our Civic. I just don't see us adding, which will be next. It will be during the next era, but I don't see us adding more to each of our territories. The cost is just too high without that reduction. I want that reduction before we do that, right? Okay, so Nineveh can basically just put turns into Angkor Wat at this point, right? We already checked all of our cities for bates, so as long as Ashur is done putting turns into theirs, bates are all good to go. So that's looking slick. Angkor Wat will be built very, very soon. In fact, where's our Angkor Wat? 2 turns for Angkor Wat as well. So we go one more turn. We get this military done. Actually, we're going to probably burn some science even here. We could just move up. We could run the move up here. I see no reason why we don't move up on this turn. We got the military star. We're not going to get the aesthete star. We're not going to get the diplomat star. And the only reason we would move up is if we're trying to one-turn something at this point. So, let's do it. Let's move up on this turn. It seems like a great idea. We could, of course, culturally transcend as the to know. We're not going to do that. We have several options. There are lots of great cultures in the early modern era. We have 3 choices that are Commons Quarter oriented. We'll start by looking at the Ming. The Ming are definitely something that we are going to consider. Mainly because of this Grand Secretariat. They are a Sikh culture. That's not a bad thing because we are generating a lot of influence. And if we generate more influence, like that's not bad. The Ming, minus 25% cost of enacting civics and canceling civics, so we can maneuver our civics around to get those Commons Quarter benefits that we were looking at and be able to attach our stuff, right? When we switch over from the being able to get our outposts faster or being able to get our attachments for cheaper cost. Also, plus 10 influence per number of enacted civics. I mean, that number goes up like pretty decently high. So it's a pretty nice... If you think about it, it's not something that you would look at necessarily if you compare it to other cultures in this era, but it's actually not bad. It's not a bad trait to have. The rocket card is not something we need to worry about. We're like sitting pretty with our relationships. I mean, Burley's the only one, and he's constantly at war with Plosif. So right now, we're really not worried about war. But the rocket cart seems pretty cool. It's a heavy weapon, which is kind of nice. You do have to have a lot of saltpeter to get it working, but it seems like a pretty decent unit. The Grand Tea House is pretty so-so. Grand Secretariat is the strength of the Mings if you're considering the Commons Quarter strategy. The Grand Tea House is pretty meh, to be honest, right? It literally just counts as a Commons Quarter, and all it does is get you influence. And again, influence is becoming less and less important as the game goes on. +1 influence per districts and territory. That's a pretty decent number at this point, right? And +2 influence per adjacent district. So we're basically sticking this in a nice spot, like surrounding by districts. Here's the problem. It's best when it functions kind of like a Commons Quarter where you're surrounding it by districts. Unfortunately, that means you can't put an actual Commons Quarter there, and it also takes the place of another high adjacency district that you could put in. So the Grand Tea House becomes this very bleh district, in my opinion. I just don't really care for it very much. I don't think it's very potent. I think it needs something else to like make me want to choose it. Grand Secretariat, however, has me considering the Ming. So the Ming are one of our options. We will then move over to the Poles, another one of our options. They are actually a pretty powerful choice regardless. The Poles are not bad to choose in many different games, and you'll see why here in a moment. Number one, we'll start with the Winged Hussars. The Winged Hussars are pretty dang good. You get access to them, I think, pretty quickly. They're heavy cav, and the charge master, the charging target cannot retaliate. I don't know exactly if that means that they can't like fight back, essentially. That is crazy. If they don't have like, you can't take damage on a charge is what that means, I think. Which is kind of intense, right? You basically just get a full charge. If you're charging, you don't take defensive damage on that, which seems kind of crazy to me. Maybe that's not what that means. You could let me know in the comments, but they're a pretty good unit to start with. Deadly Ramparts is a really interesting trait. +10 district fortification on district, sure, whatever. If you're getting attacked, that could potentially be helpful. +2 stability on district basically instantaneously solves stability issues if you have them. Now, our problem is we don't really have stability issues, and we will continue to not have stability issues because we're going to be putting in more Commons Quarters or districts that count as Commons Quarters. So for us, it's not as good as it seems. In other games, the Poles can be a selection solely to gain access to this +2 stability on district. Huge. It's a huge number that you can generate in stability. It means that all of your districts basically only cost you -8 instead of -10, and that number will balloon up pretty quickly and really nicely for you if you have any stability issues. You can solve a lot with the Poles. They're also militarist. They're a militarist culture. We are going to war with all those free peoples, right? We have a bunch of free peoples we're going to kill, so we would be getting more benefit out of our military stars when we do that, so there's a slight benefit there. The Barbican is really where you get some interesting kind of things to think about with the Poles. +2 influence. Okay, so you get some influence, that's fine. We'd get way more influence from the Grand Tea Houses. And from Grand Secretariat if you chose the Ming, right? So if you wanted influence, like, you're going to get it. But it allows for a little bit of that. You get the district fortification because it counts as a garrison. You get 8 stability, which is pretty nice. Essentially, like, actually counting it like, very much like a Commons Quarter-esque kind of situation. And you get the +3 combat strength. But the biggest thing is, it counts as a garrison and a Commons Quarter. So not only are you going to get any benefits to your Commons Quarters, you're also going to get benefits to it as a garrison. So if you have any benefits in for your garrisons, you could get both the garrison and the Commons Quarter benefits if you're choosing any of those selections that get you bonuses to those types of districts. We don't have any of those because we're choosing all the Commons Quarter ones. I can't remember if we choose anything that benefits our garrisons. We do have other garrisons from when we played the Assyrians, right? The Danu, I believe, right, was something that we were getting garrison and Commons Quarters bonus from. So the Barbican is definitely very tempting. However, our final option is the Spanish. And I've played the Spanish only one time before. The Spanish are essentially a religion win condition. You can't win via religion in this game, but the Cathedral Goticas are absolutely ridiculous faith generators. It is insane how much faith gets generated from these cathedral gotas. In fact, the amount of faith generated from these paired with Angkor Wat, who generates food based off of faith, would make our capital city just a food ridiculous breadbasket. I mean, we would have like the amount of faith we would generate from these cathedral gotikas paired with the food that we would then get from Angkor Wat basically creates like a city that's never going to stop growing. It would be insane. The Spanish, unfortunately, have some other like traits that are not so great. The Spanish are an expansionist. That's actually not bad for us right now. Sometimes by the time you get to the early modern, you're not expanding super much. We definitely will have a good set of expansions to do in this era because we have so much territory possibly to claim on the New World and lots of attachments left to make in our own continent for places we've claimed. So actually not bad at this point. Sometimes at this point in the game, you might shy away from an expansionist place. This is kind of I feel like this is one of the last spots where an expansionist, in the early modern, I think expansionist still works in most games if the map is big enough. Unfortunately, Honor and Glory is kind of not great. It's also kind of amazing if you're waging wars, if you are unsupplied, right? So you have to make sure you have that unsupplied feature, which means, I can't remember what that means. You have to be you can't be in your territory because that automatically means you're supplied. So it doesn't make it great for like defending or anything like that. And then you can't have like any units that cause you to be supplied. So like things like any of like the medical related units, any of the units that give you that supplied status basically. And again, I don't war a lot, so I'm not super familiar with all of those things. But as long as you remain unsupplied, you get +3 combat strength. That's actually kind of ridiculous. A +3 combat strength modifier on top of any other modifiers you might already have is pretty intimidating and should win you wars, essentially, right? Your units, if they're on par with the enemy's units, get that +3 bonus. That's going to win a lot of fights for you and basically win you a lot of wars. So the Spanish are actually, I think, very clever play for people going to war, particularly if you're going to war on another continent other than your own. Because again, I think that unsupplied status, if you're fighting at or near your borders, I don't think you can get the unsupplied status. Again, I don't know the exact details behind that. So if you want to in the comments, you could explain what unsupplied means. I probably need to look it up at some point. I just haven't, but I do think this is pretty powerful. The conquistadors are pretty nice. You do have to have saltpeter to get access to them. They actually meld very well with some of our previous choices, right? El Dorado generates additional money from ransacking, from winning battles and ransacking. We are going to be ransacking. That makes a lot of sense for us, right? We're going to be ransacking. So if we add conquistadors into our armies as we ransack those free people's cities, we'll be getting a lot of additional money. And we're not generating money a lot of different ways aside from that. So I do think the conquistadors actually play well into what we're trying to do right now. So that might be something to think about. But again, the cathedral gotikas are the real sell point for me on the Spanish. +1 faith per population. Anytime you see something in Humankind that says plus a FIMS per population, and I've said this a bunch of different times, that means big numbers. Especially if you play the game the way I do, which is always shooting for high population. So for me, anything that says per pop, I'm all in. The Edo-Japanese are really tempting. They're not for this game, but like because they get +1 influence per population. You're set. Influence numbers would shoot through the roof on this. Plus the Terra also gets you those. I don't think I've ever picked the Edo-Japanese, but I really want to now at some point. Pick the Edo-Japanese because of that. I noticed that as I was kind of going through stuff. So the Spanish get you +1 faith per pop, +5 stability, +3 faith per adjacent district, so it's got some nice adjacency. And here's the kicker with the Cathedral Gotica. It's a religious district and a commons quarter. So not only is it going to get all the bonuses of a commons quarter, it's also going to get all the bonuses of a religious district. And that means that we're going to be able to put these in not only with amazing FIMS bonuses, because we have a bunch of FIMS bonuses associated with commons quarters. We also have a bunch of FIMS bonuses associated with being a religious district. It gets all of those bonuses combined into one. And we have a reduction cost for building religious districts and commons quarters, which will, I believe, stack, which essentially makes the Cathedral Gotikas incredibly cheap to put in, because we're going to get the religious district cost reduction on production, and we're going to get the commons quarter cost reduction on production. The other thing we could do, right, like we saw in the Civics earlier, we could get the emblematic district cost reduction if we pushed in that direction soon enough. We could essentially be putting Cathedral Gotikas in for next to nothing if we had all three of those stacked together. Like, we would literally be somewhere in the range of like 60% production cost off on these districts, I think, which would be absolutely insane. So, if you haven't been able to figure out yet, I will be picking the Spanish. We're going to use this to just spread our faith far and wide and never have to worry about anyone. We're going to have the entire continent and the entire world probably with faith by putting these in. And we're going to be able to put these in so fast. I think it's going to be pretty crazy. So we will pick the Spanish. And I want to see just how great these Cathedral Gotikas are going to be when we put them in. I think they're going to be insane. So let us adopt the Spanish and we will move in to the early modern era.
Geography, cartography, algebra, optics, astronomy. It's a time of discovery and exploration. But discoveries are not made solely by traders and adventurers. Those who explore with ships and caravans would go in circles without those who explore with pens and parchment. Let's see whether a different leader can write a less tumultuous version of the history of the Spanish Empire.
We're going to try. We will try. Because we're not going to hopefully go to war. Maybe. We'll see. Although we are going to be burning down a lot of free people's cities. So that might cause us some potential problems, but we'll see. All right, we have entered the new era. We are the first to move up. We got military architecture researched on that turn, which is wonderful. We get a builder star right away.
You created the Congress of Humankind. Prepared to learn what the rest of the world thinks about, well, everything.
The Congress gets triggered when you move up to the early modern era, so we have unlocked the Congress of Humankind. We'll be able to do that. Got resources sold. We got a bunch of messages down here. Good, great. Is any of this because wars ended? Wonder if wars ended. Heresy. Oh, heresy. Oh, heresy triggered for everybody, basically. Got it. Everybody had heresy trigger. That's fine. Gaiden has moved from the Huns to the Aztecs. So Gaiden is a full era behind, and now the Aztecs have been taken. So another one of our commons quarter options from the medieval era has been taken. Huns to Aztecs. So Gaiden and Icarus, who are currently at war, both were the Huns. Gaiden goes to Aztecs. Icarus went to another war-oriented. Was it even Aztecs? That'd be funny if it was. They like mirrored each other. Who is Icarus currently playing? Yeah, the Aztecs. That's so funny. So mirroring Icarus's move from the Huns to the Aztecs, Gaiden also goes Huns to Aztecs, and basically that's like that war is going to be fascinating to watch unfold. Back-to-back population gains in some of our places. We'll get our units on the move, and we will be choosing a civic to put to the test in the Congress. Now, what I'd like to do is get a free civic, right? So if we look at our civics, we happen to know that we don't have colonization in yet. We don't have independent peoples in yet, but we don't really need that. And religious minorities, we're never going to need this. So we're probably never going to put this in. So really, the only one that we probably want to put in is probably colonization. And then we need to decide whether we want to get that naturalized colonies so that we can get that 10% food, which again, I think is the direction we want to go. So I think I'm going to push us towards naturalized colonies. So let's probably do that one as part of our move, right? So we don't need this. We don't want to switch like a lot of these different things. And we haven't unlocked several of these as well, right? So really what we want to do is go down to colonization. And then we want to pitch this as the vote that we have. And we'll be going for naturalized colonies if we can. Doesn't hurt us a ton. If it ends up not being that, and we end up in vassal colonies, we could deal with that if it happens. But we'd like to push it in this direction with our vote. So we'll choose this.
Unfortunately, this time you are merely a bystander to someone else's
Burley is
glory.
the only one who is voting. He's currently voting in the opposite direction of us, although Burley has very, very little international sway. So we'll throw our vote in for naturalized colonies. That will flip the vote entirely. We have then people who are following us, which is great. So we can see that we have some influence already within the Congress. Canadian Moose also going in that direction. I'm wondering if you can't vote on this unless you have it unlocked. I actually don't know the answer to that question. Can everyone vote even if they don't have this unlocked? I'm not sure. We'll see. Where are we sitting on doctrines? This is always interesting to check. This actually makes a huge change in the game, right? Once you unlock these doctrines, huge things can happen. Specifically, I always will say, yeah, and actually it is already enacted, and it's massively problematic. When this gets unlocked, we will be in a substantial amount of trouble. Oh, I didn't the free peoples influence these. Fascinating. So the free peoples influence the geopolitical axis. That makes a ton of sense, but I just did not realize that. So you can see that there are 11 different either players or free peoples that are aligned to the far side of this. And when this unlocks, whichever turn that ends up happening, it looks like we need 7 turns or something, or 7, I can't remember. Yeah, 7 turns. And it reduces if people will unlock it further. We will have 100% war score. And I've talked about this in many of my videos in previous episodes and Let's Play series. This is essentially broken. 100% war score, it just makes it so you can, like, the back and forth between wars and claims that can happen as a result of wars is absolutely insane. And so I hate this. I would love to see us not here, which is why I'm pushing us towards naturalized colonies. Hopefully that swings more people in this direction. We also need to try to eliminate as many of these free peoples as possible, which probably some of the ones we're going to attack are over here. No, maybe not. So that's actually good. So, minus 50% cost on resource extractors. We'd love to get this. That would be nice. I have no problem with that. So we don't mind that. On settled city, we'd love, this is great. This is fantastic to see this. We love to see this. Plus 10% food per farmer, worker, trader, and science. This is amazing. So we would really like to see that if we can get to. In fact, we might even want to just unlock this. Better influence together with other empires to unlock this doctrine, so its effects apply to all empires, right? Because this doesn't apply for another how many turns. I don't know how many turns. It doesn't actually say, right? But I'd love to just unlock this now. So I'll throw my vote. I'll throw my vote in with that. We could actually just continue to put votes in towards it. That's just really nice, right? On settled city. So we'd love to see that. And then also +3 science. So all of these are good except this one. That one's brutal. That one's going to be brutal for us. Okay. Continue through the era. We can now freely attack people because we can get more. We definitely want to get more pillaging done. We also want to be able to upgrade before we do a lot of pillaging. But we only have 6 turns left on this. We're not going to get conquistadors in before then. So I think we can start walking our units in. We want to keep an eye out for. Because we want the attack on those, because remember there's crossbowmen in here. Crossbowmen are what's left, so we want to be careful as we move in. Crossbowmen must have moved down here somewhere, so we're gonna move our units in kind of carefully. I would hate crap. We get to them. Okay, yeah, so we can run the attack. Okay, perfect. We can't get our second army into it though, but if we let them attack first, that's problematic for us. So I'm just gonna, let's just run it. If we had auto-resolved this, that would be, again, really nice. We should be able to. Yeah, they lose everybody. We lose it. No, we don't lose it. Perfect. So that's a nice instant resolve for us. Perfect. All right, we got rid of those crossbowmen. That was kind of one of the big things here. And then we'll be able to take Gallagher on after that. For those of you who like to see more battles, I apologize. They just take a lot of time, and if I know I'm going to win without losing a unit, I have to press the auto-resolve button. And honestly, like, I kind of prefer it that way. I do like the battles, though, to be honest, but it makes the game drag on a lot because I only have a certain amount of time for episodes. So, all right, let's move our way through, continue exploring the coast here. Again, mainly we just need to be grabbing curiosities, probably. We'll probably set those guys to auto-explore once we get them upgraded off of 3-masted ships. I think we're going to have this guy sit for a turn. Because I do want to make this claim, but I want to be careful with my influence here for a second. And then I think this guy needs to come back. We'll just get him on the right spot. Yeah, that's a nice spot. We'll send him there. That'll be our city claim, right? This boat needs to go... I'm going to send this guy back this way. Because this guy is going to go this way, right? I think I want to go across the top with this boat, actually. Actually, I should probably send this guy... Well, we'll cross him at some point, so it's fine. This guy will come down the coast and then cross at some point. Okay, Bayaguana. We don't really need to put the production into Angkor Wat, necessarily. We could start putting our cathedrals in, particularly in this city, but I think what we want to check again is now the science actually becomes worthwhile, and the fish markets become worthwhile in some cities. So we actually probably want to just keep putting down districts, which I guess the cathedral is going to be our best thing. So let's, because we're about to end the episode, let's take a look at just how good these cathedral Gotikas are. +1 faith per pop. So we're not even looking at that, right? So, I mean, in this city, it's only 9. Still, that's fine. +1 faith per pop, +5 stability, +3 faith per adjacent districts. That's just what we're going to get. Just for putting it down, because it's a religious district, +2 influence, +2 industry, +2 money, +2 science. Because it's a commons quarter, +2 influence, +3 food, +1 industry. And because it's an emblematic district, +4 influence. That is just for it existing because of the things that it is, because it counts as a religious district in a commons quarter. And then if you look at the cost of putting it in, 154. 154. Now in this city, that's not particularly impressive. Let's go over to Ashur and see what the difference is. So here is, and you can see it right away. You can see it immediately, because what you see is it's going to take me 2 turns to build in a Cathedral Gotica. It would take me 5 to build in a farmer's quarter. So your production cost on your farmer's quarter currently, 1,583. Your production cost on your cathedral, 625. We are getting a monstrous, like over 50% reduction, probably, in cost to put down these Cathedral Goticas. That is an incredible benefit of choosing something that is both a religious district and a commons quarter. You could have the same effect on something that has like multiples. I don't know if there's any religious district garrisons, but if there was, you could get the same effect. I'm actually relatively certain that the Cathedral Gotica may be one of the only, or one of the very few. We had one earlier, right, with the Tumulus, I believe. If you get the religious district plus commons quarter and you get that reduction, man, these are going to go in fast, and they're going to go in incredibly cheap, because it's just wild how easy it's going to be to put these in. So I think we're just going to get started with them, right? Like, we might as well just start putting them in, so long as we have every district in this city, right? I believe we do. There's our market quarter. Oh, do we have a research quarter? We got the farmer's quarter, maker's quarter, commons quarter. And then we've got our market quarter, so we need a research quarter. This is our only, this is going to be our only strategic that we could build those around. So I think if we're going to put a market quarter in, if we're going to put a research quarter in, I think we're probably just going to put it here. That costs us a lot. Why does that take away all the resources on the surrounding tiles? It costs us 15 food? I don't think I've ever seen that before. Is it because it's exploited by... It's exploited by the commons quarter is what's exploiting those? The commons quarter is what's exploiting those. Well, yeah. It's this Bate, or what, I'm not even sure I'm not even sure how that's happening. Either way, that seems like a very bad idea to cost us that. So I guess we just put it over here. It's worth 13 science. It doesn't, like, interfere with anything. Okay, I'm just going to put it here because it doesn't cost us anything right now. I'm going to have to look up what the heck that even means. That's very confusing to me. And we'll choose our science will be our last act of this particular thing. I know we didn't get very far today, but we got the move up done, which is, I think, what we were going for. So we could get access to our conquistadors right away. Again, makes it very valuable that you get access to them immediately. It's tempting because we are going to be doing some burning here in the next couple turns to do that. We also get access to our city cap going up if we go this way. Humanism is typically going to be where you go immediately because you want access to these luxury manufactories. We're so far ahead that I'm not overly concerned about this. We'll get there. I think actually what I want is 3-masted ship. I want to be able to get our boats out on the water. I want to be able to get some cities in really easily. We could use settlers as well. I almost never do, but this again gets us the colony plan, which will get us all the infrastructures from the previous era. So I'm going to go ahead and grab 3-masted ship first. And then we'll probably tech over to humanism to get access to these luxury manufactories, because that's going to... If we weren't winning already, when we get access to the luxury manufactories, we'll be winning at that point. So we'll go 3-masted ship and then probably over to humanism and then back down to gunpowder warfare, probably, based on what I'm seeing today. That is going to do it for the episode. We are in the early modern era as the Spanish Very excited to see how the early modern progresses. Thank you all so much for watching the episode. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, that you're subscribed to the channel with notifications turned on so you know when we release these videos. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.